Guys, I'm Alfred Poshspot and welcome to week 15 of the 2018-2019 Premier League review. If you're new to the series, what we do is look at the past set Premier results. We take a look at the Premier table and we finish off by looking at the top goal scorers. So here are the past set of Premier League results. These games are played on Tuesday the 4th and Wednesday the 5th of December 2018. Also next to the games are the times in this video, so if you want to hear about a specific match, just go to the time next to the game and you'll skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. We start with Burnley versus Liverpool. In the first half, a few chances. The first team to draw blood was Burnley as they took the lead in the 53rd minute. Call me biased, but this shouldn't have stood. Burnley have a corner that was swung into the back post. Tarkowski heads it towards goal. Chris Wood tries to flick it and that wrong foots Alisson. Alisson does get a palm to it and then gets two hands on the ball. And then in comes Ashley Barnes, kicks the balls out of his hands, and it fell to Jack Cork, who slotted it into the empty net. Two things wrong with this. Chris Wood was offside and definitely interfered in play. And like I said, Ashley Barnes kicked out of Alisson's hands. Absolute shithousery. But Liverpool would level it up on the 60th minute as James Milner made it 1-0. Xherdan Shaqiri switched the ball to Moreno. He then laid it off to Naby Keita, who takes his time before finding Divock Origi in the box. He looks up and spots James Milner on the edge of the box and lays it off to him, and the living legend hits his shot low and hard through a gaggle of Burnley players into the bottom right corner. And Liverpool took the lead for the first time in the match just a few minutes later as Roberto Firmino scored with his first touch of the ball. Danny Sturridge was pulled back and Liverpool were awarded a free kick in the middle of the Burnley half. Trent Alexander-Arnold swings the ball in, Virgil van Dijk gets around the back, squares it across goal, and there running onto it was Firmino, who tucked it away. And Liverpool wrapped the game up in the 90th minute as Xherdan Shaqiri gave Liverpool a 2-goal lead. It all started with Alisson, who made a stunning save to deny Burnley the equaliser as he leapt into the top corner of the net to stop it from going in. The ball was then recycled, but Alisson kept it in, and instead of falling on the ball, he wants to get going as he throws it out to Danny Sturridge, who then plays a ball over the top to Mohamed Salah. Salah looks up and sees Xherdan Shaqiri alongside him, and the Egyptian dinks it to Shaqiri, and the Swiss slotted it home from just inside the box. And that's how the game ended. A great turnaround as Liverpool remained undefeated. It looked like it could have been a different story when Burnley took the lead, but Liverpool showed great character to get back up and into it. When James Milner scores, he doesn't lose. That's an actual fact. Liverpool are always slow to get going at Turf Moor as they've never scored a first half goal at Burnley's stomping ground. Moments like the Alisson save at the end win a team points in the run of the season, and he did just that as Liverpool scored 3 goals for the 3 points. And we move on to Tottenham versus Southampton. Tottenham took the lead less than 10 minutes into the match as Harry Kane put Spurs ahead. It comes from a corner that was taken short as Kieran Trippier gave it to Christian Eriksen, and the Dane put a low cross into the middle that Harry Kane puts past McCarthy, who gets a hand to it but can't keep it out. And Tottenham doubled their lead in the 51st minute as Lucas Moura got the goal. Another corner that Southampton don't deal with as Kieran Trippier this time whips it in. The ball was cleared but only as far as Lucas Moura in the box. His first touch sets him up for a volley. That was blocked by Jack Stevens, but the deflection falls right back to Moura, who again hits it on the volley, this time into the ground and past McCarthy in the Southampton goal. And Tottenham made it 3 just 4 minutes later as Son Heung-min got in on the goals. Matt Targett tries to clear a ball but instead just whacks it at Kieran Trippier, and that falls into the path of Harry Kane. Kane then looks across goal and puts it on a plate for Son, and the South Korean turned home from close range. But Southampton would get a consolation goal with the final kick of the game as Charlie Austin made it 3-1. Stephen Davies just boots the long ball forward that Charlie Austin ran onto, headed it down into the ground, controlled it, and put it past Hugo Lloris. And that's how the game ended. Bring back Mark Hughes, I say. They had chances, to be fair, did Southampton. They hit the woodwork 3 times in the match and made Hugo Lloris work for the win. Ralph Hasenhüttl was watching in the stands as he started his new job today. Hope it went well, Ralphie boy. He watched his new side crumble in the space of 4 minutes as they went from in the game at 1-0 to no chance and 3 down within 240 seconds. Tottenham took advantage of the defensive cracks in Southampton and punished them as all goals could have been prevented. The first one, no one gets front post. The second one, no one just boots it away. And the third one, well, just put it out play, Matt Targett, and you're in. The victory saw Spurs overtake 2 of their London rivals and hopped up to 3rd. And we move on to Manchester United versus Arsenal. In probably the biggest match of these midweek features, Arsenal took the lead in the 25th minute as Shkodran Mustafi put the visitors ahead, but David De Gea, hang your head in shame, young man. It comes from a corner from the left-hand side that was swung in by Lucas Torreira. Mustafi gets his head onto it. De Gea is saved harder, but his wrists suddenly turn into jelly as he palms it up over his head, and it bounces just over the goal line, and despite Ander Herrera's best efforts to keep it out, Hawkeye was there to award the goal. But United levelled it up just 5 minutes later as Anthony Martial got the goal. Coming from a free kick that Marcus Rojo takes, good free kick over the wall, headed into the bottom corner, Bernd Leno gets a good hand to it, Ander Herrera looked a little bit offside. Nah, he looked offside, he was offside. As he gets onto it, kept it alive, put it across the box, and there was Martial, who put it past not only Leno, but Torreira, who was on the line as well. But Arsenal retook the lead in the 69th minute, and it was given as a Marcus Rojo own goal, and what a stupid goal this was. Marcus Rojo gave the ball away inside his own half. It's laid off to Alexandre Lacazette, who was bursting through on goal. Fair play to Rojo, who got up and caught up with Lacazette, and he comes sliding in, but he ends up poking the ball beyond David De Gea into his own net. Actually, it should have been given as a Lacazette goal, because Rojo kicks the ball onto Lacazette's shin. I don't know whether it's been updated, but that's Lacazette's goal all day long. But United levelled it up literally from kickoff. 13 seconds it took them. Some more shambolic defending for two of the best sides this country's got to offer. It really wasn't the best day for their defences. Great day to be an attacker though. From kickoff, Marcus Rojo boots the ball forward towards Romelu Lukaku, who battles with Socrates. Socrates does well, in comes Sead Kolasinac, and boom, job done. Psych. Bernd Leno and Kolasinac have a little no after you, please, after you. And that allows Jesse Lingard to run in and slot it past the both of them. And that's how the game ended. I just don't understand what happened. To be fair to De Gea, he made up for his mistake, making some good saves in the second half. To sort of make up for his error, just United fans would have preferred him not making the error in the first place. How many draws is it in a row now for United? Is it 3? Maybe more? It's been so long. Oh, Marouane Fellaini, by the way. Obviously, he was jealous that Matteo Guendouzi has a better afro than he ever did, as he just pulled it, just yanked it. Matteo was trying to get away, and Fellaini got away with it. If he doesn't get a retrospective ban, I will be shooketh. Looking at the play of the game, I'd say draw was probably the fairest result, and Arsenal will be happy to keep their unbeaten streak alive. It's now 20 games in all competitions without a loss. And they also picked up a point at Old Trafford, somewhere they have not enjoyed going in the recent past. And we move on to Wolves versus Chelsea. Chelsea took the lead in the 18th minute, and surprisingly, Ruben Loftus-Cheek was given this. Eden Hazard was given far too much space to find Loftus-Cheek, who has it outside the area, and he lines up a shot that Rui Patricio was probably going to save, but Conor Cody doesn't know that, and he tries to head it around for a corner, but instead he ends up heading it into the ground and into his own net. But like I said, it went down as a Loftus-Cheek goal. But Wolves levelled it up in the 59th minute as Raul Jimenez put the horse level with their first shot on target. Morgan Gibbs-White looked great in this game, and the Youth World Cup winner slotted a ball through to Raul Jimenez. He's at such a tight angle, he's never going to score, is what we all think, but he blasts it low, right at Kepa, and it goes through him, and despite being a very short man, he can't get down quick enough as the Mexican blasts it through the keeper. And Wolves turned the game around 3 minutes later as they took the lead through Diogo Jota. Chelsea think Willian was pushed off the ball, but the ref isn't having any of it. Neither am I. João Moutinho wins it back, plays it through to Matt Doherty, and the fullback draws the ball across the face of goal, and their sprinting to meter at the back stick was Jota, who tapped in for his first Premier League goal. And as the game ended, Chelsea had efforts to double their lead when they were ahead, but Willian, Antonio Rudiger, and N'Golo Kante couldn't find the net, and those misses came back to haunt the visiting side. Back-to-back away defeats for Sarri's side, and they are going to need a big performance at the weekend as they play league leaders Man City. Wolves, on the other hand, end a bad run of form as they pick up their first win since the 6th of October. And we move on to Brighton versus Crystal Palace. Brighton were given the perfect opportunity to take the lead in the 25th minute as they were awarded a penalty. Calamity in the Palace defensive third as the ball should really be cleared, but it somehow goes backwards and Jose Izquierdo nips in and James McArthur comes in, makes a good tackle, and the ref pointed to the spot. Izquierdo kicks MacArthur's leg. He didn't mean to, obviously he was going for the ball, but I just don't understand how the ref is given that. MacArthur made a good tackle. But anyway, the man, the myth, the legend steps up to take it, and Big Glenn Murray sends the keeper the wrong way and puts it in the top right corner with a little kiss off the bar for a good measure. What a man, what a man. But Brighton would make it difficult for themselves as only 5 minutes later they were reduced to 10 men as Shane Duffy was sent off. You're an idiot. Absolute idiot. Brighton won another penalty, but the ref doesn't give it. The ball goes out for a Brighton corner, but Shane Duffy, Patrick Van Aanholt are having a bit of an argument. Face to face, Shane Duffy headbutt in motion, right in front of the ref. Straight red. Can't have any complaints. So from that, Brighton were forced to make some changes to shore up, so Leon Balogun was brought on. and he scored with his first touch. Let's not forget that during all of this, it was a Brighton corner. No free kick was given because it was off the ball, so the corner swung in by Solly March. It falls in the middle to Leon Balogun, and with literally his first touch, he belts it in at the far post after being on the pitch for 24 seconds. And Brighton made it 3-0 just before the half-time whistle as Florent Andone got his second goal in as many games. Not a bad debut week for the Romanian, is it? Definition of Route 1. Palace pumped men forward to try and get a goal before half-time, and a massive clearance looks like it headed out for a throw, but Andone does well to keep it in. A heavy touch takes it away from his man to the byline. He then cuts back across his man, side foots his effort into the bottom right corner from a very tight angle. But Palace will get a possible way back into the match in the 80th minute as they were given a penalty. Looks a bit suspect for me. Leon Balogun comes in with a challenge on Wilfried Zaha. At first look, it does look Stonewall, but when you look at the replay, there looks to be a bloody good touch on the ball. Luka Milivojevic steps up to take it, and Mr. Reliable sends Matty Ryan the wrong way and slots it home. And as the game ended, Brighton brought out one of the best performances in the league this season. Matt Ryan had nothing to do until the 81st minute, so bless him, just standing there like a tit on a freezing night. Even after the late penalty though, Brighton were able to subdue Palace's attack. Brighton fans would have been crapping themselves after Duffy's red card, but the Amex went from nervous to happy in a matter of seconds as Balogun's first touch doubled the lead. And Brighton's defence again made very light work of the Palace attack as Brighton picked up a memorable win. And we move on to West Ham versus Cardiff. Cardiff got the best chance they could wish for on the half-hour mark when they were given a penalty. Pretty soft one, but for some reason Marko Arnautovic is back in the defence. He shoves Junior Hoylett over when the Cardiff man is going literally away from goal, and the ref points to the spot. Joe Roll stepped up to take it. He's going for the bottom right, but Lucas Fabianski gets down well, smothers it, and holds onto it. And that was pretty much that for the first half. Nothing happened apart from that spot kick and, unfortunately, a Marko Arnautovic injury. But Arnautovic would be smiling 5 minutes into the second half as his replacement, Lucas PEREZ, got his first Premier League goal in nearly 2 years. He's had a tough time since coming to England, has the Spaniard. Not the best time at Arsenal, a loan spell, and now he's at West Ham. But he's off the mark now as the Cardiff defence just fall apart. 2 attempts at a headed clearance goes absolutely nowhere. Robert Snodgrass picks it up, pokes it through to PEREZ, who slotted it home on the half volley. And West Ham doubled their lead in the 54th minute as Lucas PEREZ got his first Premier League goal since about 5 minutes earlier. He's firing now, isn't he, as Cardiff were ripped apart down the left as Noble had it on the halfway line. He played it forward to Masuaku, and the Cardiff player slides in, misses it, and Masuaku has space to run. He keeps going, before eventually being in the box, laying it through to Lucas PEREZ, who put it through the legs of the keeper and into the back of the net. And West Ham got their third in the 60th minute as Mikel Antonio got on the score sheet. Corner swung in from the right by Mark Noble. Antonio gets between 2 defenders. He doesn't even have to jump. He just little bunny hop and he heads home at the near post. But Cardiff got a consolation goal in the 95th minute as Josh Murphy made it a little less embarrassing. A corner was swung in, Cardiff attack it, Fabianski is coming for it, but he's clearly being stopped by Gunnarsson. It's a clear foul. Fabianski literally can't move, but it still takes Cardiff 3 tries to get it over the line as Murphy rises highest and nods home. Should not have counted. That is a clear foul. And that's how the game ended. West Ham were all over Cardiff and were pretty comfortable throughout the entire match. It could have been more as well as Neil Etheridge made some good saves to deny Angelo Ogbonna, Declan Rice and Marko Arnautovic in the first half. Aside from the Cardiff penalty, Fabianski was rarely tested, and again West Ham continued to pepper the Cardiff goal. And they have what should be a pretty nice run as they face 5 teams in the bottom half of the table in December, and the only negative from this match will be Arnautovic's hamstring injury. And we move on to Watford versus Manchester City. Man City took the lead in the 40th minute as Leroy Sané gave the visitors the lead. It had been coming as Watford paid the price for not closing down Riyad Mahrez, as the Algerian was given time to float a ball into David Silva, who actually chests it past Ben Foster, but a defender clears off of the line, and then seconds later they do the exact same thing. Mahrez floats a ball in, just this time to Leroy Sané, and again it's a chest that goes past Foster, but there's no defenders there this time as Sané literally scored with his chest. And Man City doubled the lead in the 50th minute as Mahrez went from assister to scorer. Gabriel Jesus and David Silva play a 1-2 in the middle, and the Brazilian has the ball on the byline. He cuts it back, and it was probably aimed for Bernardo Silva, but it misses him. But behind him was Mahrez, who stroked one first time into the bottom right past a rooted Ben Foster. But Watford would make the final 5 minutes interesting as they cut the deficit in half through Abdoulaye Doucouré. Gerard Deulofeu makes his way down the right, puts a ball in that Ederson flaps at, right into the path of Doucouré, who misses his first header, just completely misses it. But luckily for him, it just drops to his feet, and eventually it bundles over the line. It took him about 4 tries, from about 3 yards. It was goal-mouth scramble. And that's how the game ended. City had been frustrated early in the game as Ben Foster made some good saves to keep it goalless, but Leroy Sané eventually beat him with his chest of all things. City dominated the possession stat with over 70% of the ball, but a moment of panic allowed Watford to get a goal that resulted in a nervy finish for City. Ben Foster was constantly sent forward for set pieces, which resulted in Man City sending on another defender to shore up at the back, and they held on for their 7th league win in a row and sent them 5 points clear at the top, with Liverpool still to play on the Wednesday, and that eventually dropped back down to just 2 points clear. And we move on to Bournemouth versus Huddersfield. It wouldn't take long for this one to get going as Callum Wilson put Bournemouth ahead in the 5th minute. The Cherries have a free kick in a crossing position. Ryan Fraser sends the ball in towards the front post for Callum Wilson. There's a hint of offside. He's either just on or just off. It's a matter of millimetres. But Wilson still has it all to do though, and the New England striker powers his header past Lursell and it ripples the net. And Bournemouth double their lead in the 21st minute as the roles were reversed as Callum Wilson assisted Ryan Fraser. Huddersfield lose the ball up the pitch and Bournemouth break forward as Joshua King lays it forward to Callum Wilson, who takes it out wide. That open space in the middle and the rapid Scotsman darts into it. Wilson looks up, finds his teammate who takes it into the box, and Ryan Fraser slotted it through the legs of Lursell and at the back of the net. But Huddersfield would get a goal back in the 37th minute as Terence Congolo put the Terriers back in it. A corner was put in by Aaron Moy, but it was cleared, but the ball works its way back to Aaron Moy, who again floats it in, and Huddersfield decide they're going to pass it in the air. All 3 of their central defenders were involved as Christopher Schindler wins Moy's cross, heads it into the middle, Zanka challenges and heads it up, and then it ends with Congolo, who floats his head into the top corner. And that's how the game ended. Bournemouth's early goals weren't enough to see off their opponents. Moy had a good chance in the second half, but other than that, Huddersfield left themselves far too much to do, as they just couldn't create enough chances against the notoriously resilient Bournemouth defence. Huddersfield did finally get their 10th goal of the season in this game though, as they were the only team in Europe's top leagues yet to do so, but in the end, it's like finding the best piece of in a pig pen really, as Bournemouth picked up the win. And we move on to Everton versus Newcastle. Newcastle took the lead just before the 20-minute mark as Solomon Rondon put the Magpies ahead with the first real attack of the game. Everton gave the ball away and Newcastle break as Jacob Murphy darts down the left-hand side and takes it all the way to the byline, and he swings across and low that the Everton defence miss, and it comes all the way at the back post, and Rondon is there to slide it home. But Richarlison levelled it up for Everton in the 38th minute. They won a penalty for a challenge on Lookman, but it wasn't given and they were given a corner, but they score from that anyway. So swung in from the right-hand side, there's a challenge in the middle that neither man wins, and it goes all the way at the back post where Richarlison was on hand to slot home. And that's how the game ended. Everton left ruining their missed chances as they had to settle for a point. Marco Silva's Toffees had 19 shots but could only get 3 of those on target. They responded well to going behind and could have won it, but then again, so could Newcastle. Christian Atsu twice went close late on in the game. Points see Everton move up to 6th and Newcastle slowly creep away from the drop zone. And finally, we've got Fulham versus Leicester. Fulham new boss Claudio Ranieri came against his old side for the first time since he was sacked last year. Still not over that. Why'd you sack him? He's such a dilly-ding-dilly-dong. And his new side took the lead in the 42nd minute through Abubakar Kamara. A long ball towards Alexander Mitrovic and the Serb flicked it to Kamara inside the box. He swivels, waits for Soyuncu to slide in, and he fakes him. He fakes him hard. He goes flying off the pitch and Kamara blasted it through the legs of Schmeichel from a tight angle. But Leicester equalised in the 75th minute as James Maddison got his 5th league goal of the season. Shinji Okazaki was involved with his first real touch of the ball as Demarai Gray and Shinji Okazaki play a 1-2 on the right hand side, and the Japanese forward puts the ball on the penalty spot for James Maddison, who guides his effort into the bottom left. And that's how the game ended. Fulham looked on course for not only a big win, but their first clean sheet of the season as well. That was until Maddison came and ruined it. Kamara's first league goal since the turn of the year wasn't enough as Leicester picked up a deserved point as they did start brightly and created more than enough. The match equalled an unwanted club record for the home side though, as they are now 19 top flight games without a clean sheet, a run that dates back to their last run in the Premier League in 2014. Right, so that's all the games I've got for you this week. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers, starting off with the Premier League table. Starting with top 5, and as you can see, Man City are still top after beating Watford. Liverpool are second after coming from behind to beat Burnley. Tottenham are third after beating Southampton. Chelsea are fourth after suffering a shock loss against Wolves. And Arsenal make up the top 5 after being held to a point with Manchester United. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Fulham are on the bottom after drawing with Leicester. Burnley are 19th after throwing away a lead against Liverpool. Southampton are 18th after losing at Wembley. Huddersfield are 17th after being beat by Bournemouth. And Cardiff make up the bottom 5 after a loss loss at West Ham. Moving on to top goal scorers, and as you can see, Pierre Aubameyang is still on the top. He didn't score against Man United. Actually, I'm not actually sure he played. He stayed on 10 goals and 2 assists. Harry Kane is second. His opening goal against Southampton took him to 9 goals and 2 assists. Raheem Sterling is third on 8 goals, 6 assists. Callum Wilson's goal against Huddersfield took him to 8 goals and 5 assists. And again, Sergio Aguero was out for the game against Watford, so he stayed on 8 goals and 4 assists. Right, so that's all I've got for this time. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back on Tuesday at 4 PM for the next episode of the Premier League review. To stay up to date about everything we do, it would be best to follow us on Twitter. The link is in the description, or it's at portionofsport_. If you missed last week's episode, that'll be popping on your screen now, along with a link to the channel so you can subscribe. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I will see you soon.